Hi there, Zach with Segment Music Studio and ZS Music Publishing here. I'm coming to you today to talk about one of our new games that we just released called the NoteStackers Digital Edition. Now, we'll talk about the digital edition here in a little bit, but NoteStackers is a new game that we just released, which is a quick fire game where students must correctly identify notes on the staff, either their placement on the staff or on the music alphabet. Now, this is just a little bit different from the NoteStackers card game that we're going to be releasing later on, but we're going to be talking about the digital edition today. The digital edition is twofold because you don't have to use it online or with distance students to be able to play it. I'm going to show that to you here in a little bit. So let's go ahead and let's pull up the PDF that I have of the game. And in total, there are 7 levels of the game that you can buy individually or as a package. And we'll go over those levels here in a little bit. The level that we're going to be looking at here is level 6, which is basically the entire staff. It goes from 2 ledger lines below the bass staff, so that low C, all the way up to high C, 2 ledger lines above the treble staff. The other cool thing about NoteStackers is that there's no particular grade level that you can use this with. You can use this with beginners, you can use this with intermediate, you can use this with advanced, elementary school kids, middle and high school kids. I want to explain all that here in a little bit. So if you notice here in this PDF, and all the levels look like this for the digital edition, we've got cards here that have a white background. And then we also, here on the side, I'm going to get this pulled up, have cards that have a colored background. So the colored background matches the color of the level here. What's cool about this is that you can either show this up on a smartboard, or like here in Zoom, I'm using the screen share, or you can print these off. You can either use the colored background or save a little bit of money and use the plain white background. And I'm going to show you the printed version here in a little bit. But let's go ahead, let's start off here with the colored background version first. Now, if you notice on here, there are boxes that say 1 note before, 1 note after, and then the note names. There's really no particular order on how to play the game. You can start by having the students identify the given note, which is there in the middle of the card, or you could start off by going directionally. You can have them answer, what's 1 note before, what's 1 note after, and things like that, or you can have them start off by identifying the letter names of the note. So if I were using this in a classroom or maybe in a group setting here in my studio, I would start off, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and grab my pen here real quick here on Zoom. I would start off by asking the students, what is the given note? So what's the note in the middle? And one of my students, say Hayden, for example, he would tell me that it's G. Okay. Then I would ask another student, and I would say, okay, after G, what is 1 note? I'd ask another student, Bella, what is 1 note above G? And we can either have her write it in here on the staff on the right side, or we can have her draw the letter name in here where it says a note name. Likewise, I would ask another student, I would ask them what would be the 1 note that's below G. And then they could either, again, write that in or give me the letter name. So again, there's no real rhyme or reason to the order of which you fill out the boxes. You can have 1 student fill out all the boxes and then move to a different card and move to a different student, or you can have 1 student name each card or 1 student name each note or things like that. This is really up to you and your vibe and how your studio or how your classroom works. So that is one way to play it. Let me show you a different way to play it, which would be great for middle school, high school students. Maybe even play it in college for music theory 1 classes or things like that. So instead of going 1 note below, 1 note above, which would be your steps, you could do this with skips. You could do intervals. You could introduce inversions. You can introduce chords with this as well. So for example, I could ask, instead of 1 note before, 1 note below, I could ask, what is a third below G? So again, we've identified G here. I could ask students, what's a third below G? And I'd have students say, oh, well, that's E. Or I'd have a student or group of students or every student tell me it's E. And then I could turn around. I could either ask what's a third above G, or I could ask a fourth. So let's start with by asking a third above G, which would be B. Then either looking at the notes on the staff or the notes here, the letter names down below, I can ask the students, what chord did we just form? So EGB, what chord does that form? If you've gotten there that far in your music class or whichever. If I were to ask for a fourth above G, you all know the answer. That would be C. And then we could identify, okay, EGC, what chord does that form? C major. Then this provides me the opportunity to ask, okay, what inversion is the chord? So we know the notes EGC form C major. What inversion of it? So again, this is kind of where you can do it with your high school, middle school students, or even young college students as well. So now we're going to kind of reverse gears here, and I'm going to switch over to my overhead camera and show you the printed version. So I've gone ahead and printed levels, the primer level and level 1. I'm going to show you how I would use those. Now, the cool thing about the printed versions, and if you want durability, I would suggest laminating these. I printed 1 card per sheet. So, and I didn't double-sided it. I probably could have, but that's up to you. I would do the same thing here. Now, if you notice, I want to grab level 1 here. Level 1 is the same thing that I have printed off that I just showed on the PDF. Where you have 1 note below, 1 note above, and then the note names. Again, you could do the steps where you do 1 note below, 1 note above. You could do a third below, a third above, things like that. That's kind of basically up to you. Other ways that you could do this, this would be perfect for exit tickets, where you could just choose 1 card and print it off 4 to a sheet or 8 to a sheet or whichever. Or you could even print these 2 to a sheet, and then save a little bit of paper, save a little bit of lamination there as well. Whatever fits your need for your classroom. That, and then if you print multiples of these, you can laminate them or not. That's just kind of up to you and up to your needs. So this product is really versatile. Versatile. There we go. There's the word. Totally not editing that out. I'm gonna claim my mistake there. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about the printed version of the cards here. I would do the same thing. So again, we could show these in front of the students, or we could give a set to a student, say, fill this out on your own. We could use it as assessment and things like that. What the student would do, and again, because these are laminated, I have a dry erase marker here. I would ask them, okay, what's 1 note below? What's 1 note above? And this would be great too, especially when they're learning that, hey, the music alphabet repeats on the piano or on the staff or things like that. And what I would do, if you have time, I would try to randomize these, because if you do these too often, students would be like, oh, well, I know the answer to this already. Same thing here. They have the given note, so they're going to do 1 note below D and then 1 note above, or what comes before, what comes after, things like that. Again, you can do the same thing here, where you could have them think of the skips. So if I were doing this with like beginner students and we just learned skips, I would say, okay, what's a skip from A? So we have A, we skip B, it would be C. Okay, what's a skip down? So we have A, we play G, and then we have F. That'd be really cool to do, again, for chords, once your students start learning chords. So let's kind of talk about the levels here, because they are sold separately, and then they're also sold as a complete set as well. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that share right there. There are 7 levels in total, and what those include are the primer level, which would be your just your music alphabet letters A through G. Level 1 is going to be your middle C position, so it goes from bass F all the way up to treble G. That'd be perfect for, again, for piano students. Level 2 is going to be middle C to treble C, so that gives you that octave right there. Level 3 is going to be your middle C to bass C, so once you start learning the bass notes, you could definitely use that as well. Level 4 is treble C up to high C, so space 3 all the way up to 2 ledger lines above the treble staff. Level 5 is going to be bass C all the way down to low C, so space, that third space or second space, depending on how you think about it. of the base staff, 2 letter lines below the base staff. And then level 6, like we just talked about, is the whole shebang. 2 letter lines below the base staff, all the way up to 2 letter lines above the treble staff. So that's an overview of the game. Now, like I said, there is another version of the game. So this is the digital edition. We also have, now this is the preliminary set, and we're going to be launching this online as well. This is the physical card game as well. And instructions are going to be included with this as well. We're going to be making another video for the card game as well. If you notice, it does match the primer color, which was pink on the card. And then these cards are also pink. Again, this is just the alphabet letters. The cards are ink friendly, and you can make as many copies as you need of those. So links for the products are down below. Again, you can purchase each level separately or buy them as a complete bundle and have all 7 levels printed off or shown online for your needs. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoy the product. We always welcome feedback. Let us know how we can improve the product, and hope that you get good use out of the NoteStackers Digital Edition.